Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we got some warning signs that could affect the overall bull market. Before that though, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help out the channel and learn more about cryptocurrency and the overall economic state of the country. So, earlier today, St. Louis Federal Reserve President Alberto suggested that the time may be approaching for the Fed to slow down or even pause its current cycle of interest rate cuts. He emphasized the importance of maintaining policy flexibility as economic conditions evolve. Here are the key points from his remarks. First of all, we have potential shifts in rate cuts. He signaled that with inflation nearing the Fed's 2% target and a strong labor market, it might be time to consider slowing down the pace of interest rate reductions or pausing them altogether. Number two, risks of easing too quickly. He expressed concern that easing monetary policy too aggressively could pose risks to the broader economy, urging a more measured approach. And number three, his personal economic outlook. He projects inflation will gradually return to its 2% target over the next 2 years, alongside a slight slowdown in economic growth in a cooling labor market. A little bit more unemployed people out there. These comments come as markets expect the Fed to implement another quarter-point rate cut at its December 17th and 18th meeting. The Federal Reserve has been cutting interest rates through the year to stimulate economic growth in the face of a very slowing economy. However, inflation remains above target, and while the labor market appears strong, many argue that this strength is uneven and could mask underlying weaknesses. Alberto's remarks suggest a potential shift in the Fed strategy, but if these adjustments are too poorly timed or too cautious, they could lead to a broader economic stagnation. Historically, pauses or missteps in rate adjustments have sometimes coincided with recessions. Alberto's cautious remarks about slowing or pausing rate cuts come at a time when the economy is still very fragile. While he cites inflation nearing the 2% target, the reality is that the economy has been struggling under the weight of high rates for a while now. If the Fed slows its cuts down too much, it could stall the recovery and potentially or tip the economy into a recession. The labor market may seem strong on the surface, but wage growth is lagging, and many Americans are already feeling the pinch. The Fed's careful approach could backfire with a failure to provide enough stimulus, leaving consumers and small businesses vulnerable. At this crucial moment, the Fed risks missing the opportunity to spark the momentum needed to avoid a full-blown downturn. Alberto's approach is one that, if miscalculated, could trigger an economic downturn rather than the recovery we need. The stakes are high, and if the Fed doesn't manage this carefully, we could be facing serious consequences. Hey everybody, I hope you like this story. So far, this has just been a very, very wild one because I wasn't really thinking about the Fed pausing up until now that we have more stories coming out about it. And to me, this is a very, very bad decision. I don't know why the Fed necessarily thinks that everything is just going swimmingly, everything is really good. There are certain parts of the economy that are doing well, but there's a lot of parts of the economy that are doing bad, right? And sometimes I just don't think they understand it because, when you work at the Fed, you have a cushy job, you're friends with the elite. You can't really see what it's like to be at the ground level. They're usually in the penthouse, not at the bottom level of a building, right? And I don't think they realize, like, hey, some people, they can't afford to buy a new car because of the interest rates. They can't afford to get the house they need because of high interest rates. Remember, if you're starting a new family, you might not be able to handle just living in like a 500 square foot 1 bedroom apartment or a studio. Probably not going to be the best for you. But if you're a growing family, you want to be able to afford that 1 bedroom house, that 2 bedroom house, that 3 bedroom house, but you want to be able to afford it without having a massive loan attached with very expensive monthly payments. Right? It really changes what you guys can afford. And then going over to the market here, guys, Bitcoin typically performs very, very bad when markets are not being cut. Rates are not being cut. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but really, if you go look at charts and you see, hey, what was happening with Bitcoin when the Fed's funds rate was at zero or going down, Bitcoin's usually going up. What happens when the Fed decides to pause or start to hike rates? Bitcoin's usually stagnating or going down. So this is probably something I'd keep my eye on personally, because this doesn't affect just Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, Ethereum and stuff like that. This will affect the overall stock market. And there is a chance right now that egos are at play. Trump's big ego and Jerome Powell's big ego. Trump has been saying cut rates, cut rates, cut rates. I don't think Jerome Powell is above a little bit of pettiness, even if it damages his reputation, because again, depending on who you talk to, an average guy, he hasn't really done a good job, right? Because of the transitory situation. And then just the fact that right now he started cutting a little bit too late. The market liked it, don't get me wrong, but you can still feel there's something wrong out there. You can kind of feel it, right? And until that really gets fixed, where you see the middle class starting to have good wage growth, but inflation not really spiking up, however that's going to happen, right? I think it's probably best just to watch out, because whenever there is an official pause, I think you're going to see assets really throw a massive fit. And if you want to see what this looks like, go back to any of your charts on like the S&P, Nasdaq, Bitcoin, and see what happened back in 2018 and 2019. That was the last time they really like paused rates and started talking about hiking it. The market just freaked out a little bit, and it was enough for the Fed to reverse course, and that was right before COVID. Again, right? So times are changing a little bit here. We were in a really good, optimistic, low market, rate environment here, Fed funds rate environment. But if they're talking about pausing it, that kind of pauses the entire market. And with stagnation comes a little bit more fear, and that fear will keep me and you from stop spending our, it'll make us stop spending our money basically. And I see when that happens, the economy really does start to falter, because money's just not moving around as it used to be. So I think Jerome Powell and the rest of the Fed, Alberto, they're playing a dangerous game. And I think they should continue doing 25 basis point cuts and be very optimistic. If inflation has a massive spike or something, let us know. But everybody and their mom knew this was going to be a sticky situation. We just don't want to see inflation skyrocket. That'd be the thing that'd be bad. But let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it.